Hey, happy Tuesday, you guys. Day 2 of the Faster Way to Fat Loss program. You guys are doing great. I know this all, again, seems a little overwhelming at first as we are trying to figure out all the different things in the way of macros. The kind of harder thing is that really low carb day. Sorry, I am outside. I am in Scottsdale, Arizona, visiting my parents for spring break. So it sounds like there is a lawnmower happening on the golf course right there. So hopefully he'll go by soon and you can hear me better. But I wanted to jump on to give you guys a little bit of guidance on the macros and kind of how they work on low carb day, and especially kind of talking to you a little bit about macros and calories, okay? Because we are still inherently watching, tracking, managing our overall calorie goal. But again, we're doing it by the way of managing macros. So we are more macros. Can't necessarily throw away the concept of calories. This was the one thing that I saw happen with everybody's macronutrients from yesterday's low carb day. So I kind of wanted to give this a little bit of an explanation. And so if you have any questions while I'm live, I got about 10 minutes. I can answer them live while I'm on there. So this is going to be a little hard to do without being able to fully show you my screen, but hopefully we have all set up MyFitnessPal so that it can be, we can kind of understand where I'm going with it. But I'm just going to use some general numbers to help us out. Okay, so the one thing I'm also going to encourage you to do is to go back into the portal, get into the Prep Week Essentials tab, and go under, I think it's called the Faster Way Cycle and Macros. Reread that information, especially now that you've been logging and you kind of have a better idea of MyFitnessPal and how all that works. Go back and reread that information. It really actually lays it out quite nicely for you, okay? So that's my first tip. So the second thing, calories and macronutrients. So all of you hopefully have gone into MyFitnessPal. You went into the goals section. It asks you a few questions, right? What is your current weight? What is your goal weight? What is your height? What is your activity level? And how many pounds per week do you want to lose, okay? So your height, your weight, that is already, you don't need to do any manipulation with that. That's a hard number, right? You know your weight, you know your height. The weight you want to be, let's make this goal realistic, because all that it's going to happen is if you give it a very low number, it's going to really reduce those calories, okay? So a realistic goal weight. The second thing you're going to do is tell it your activity level. Most of you guys should be telling it active, and then pounds per week, no more than 1 pound per week. So when you've put all that information there, now remember, MyFitnessPal gave you, let me kind of pull mine up here. MyFitnessPal gave you your a calorie goal, an overall calorie goal, and then you told it 50% carbs, or actually these are the default setting, 50% carbs, 20% protein, 30% fat. So there you go, right? So it's that screen. So that's mine. I'm allowed 1,720 calories a day. So when we're tracking our macronutrients, again, if we get perfectly hit our macronutrient goals, right? So our regular day goals, the ones that we've told it, the 50% carbs, the 20% protein, the 30% fat, then it gave us our goals in grams. If we hit those goals every day perfectly in grams, we will hit our overall calorie goal perfectly, right? So remember from the live video I did last week, for every 1 gram of carbohydrates, there's 4 calories. For every 1 gram of protein, there's 4 calories. For every 1 gram of fat, there's 9 calories. So you can see, because our macros have a caloric value, we are still inherently tracking to that overall calorie goal. So here's the deal with the overall calorie goal. MyFitnessPal has given you already a slight deficit based on the information that you gave it. A slight deficit. And that's where we want to be. We do not want to be under eating and going to an extreme deficit and thinking that that is going to speed up our results. A lot of people have been talking about that they've noticed that they are definitely coming from a place of under eating. And that is going to backfire on you guys. That is where and how your metabolism does slow down. So we for sure want to be trying to eat as much as we can, or manipulating those macros, getting all those macros in to get as close as we can to that overall calorie goal, okay? So that is definitely a goal of ours. On low macro day, which I'm not gonna really dive into here, that is the only 2 days, Friday and Sunday, where our calories will drop down 25% with all of our macros, okay? But low carb days and regular macro days, we always want to be aiming for that overall calorie goal that MyFitnessPal gave us, okay? So knowing that is our goal, to manage that overall calorie goal that MyFitnessPal gave us, when we approach a low carb day, what are we doing? We are reducing our carbohydrates, okay? So we're purposely not eating all of our carbohydrates. So what happens is then we have leftover, and maybe some of you guys have seen me say it this way in the comments, unused carbs or carb calories, unused carbohydrates that are kind of left on the table. We don't want to leave them on the table, because if we leave them there and we don't eat them, we're just drastically reducing our calories. Okay, so try to follow along with me in regards to these numbers. Let's say Jane has her overall calorie goal is 1,500 calories. And we've told MyFitnessPal that we want 50% of those calories to come from carbohydrates. So 1,500 overall calories times 50% is 750 calories, okay, coming from carbohydrates. 1 gram of carbs, 4 calories. So 750 divided by 4 is 187 grams. So Jane gets 187 grams of carbohydrates. That's her carbohydrate goal. That's the goal that she'll be focused on a regular macro day. But today is a low carb day, all right? So Jane, if she gets 187 grams of carbohydrates, let's say that Jane ate on a low carb day, getting my calculator out, 65 grams of carbohydrates, okay? Because she had some good fiber, she ate 65 grams of carbohydrates. So if you take 187 minus 65, that's 122 grams of carbohydrates that are left on the table. We need to consume those, because let's see this. If you have your calculator out with you or a phone close by, pull up your calculator. So she left 122 grams of carbohydrates on the table on purpose, because we were being low carb, right? So 122 grams of carbs times 4, because remember, 1 gram of carb, 4 calories, that's 488 calories. So think about that. If you don't consume those leftover carbs, you're leaving 488 calories. You're under eating by 488 calories. We do not want to do that. Remember, we want to try to get as close to that overall calorie goal as possible. So what are we going to do with that 488 leftover carb calories that are still on the table that we know we want to eat? Well, we can give them to protein and fats. We really want to keep protein moderate. So I always say on a low carb day, if you need to go up a little bit in protein, because sometimes that's a good way to get in some extra fats, that's fine. 10 to 20 grams over in protein is still going to be moderate, but we're looking to keep protein at a more moderate spot. We're not looking to double increase, like double fat protein the way we are with fats. So let's take 488 calories, and let's just say that Jane wants to give all of those calories to fat. So you divide that by 9, because for every 1 gram of fat, that's 9 calories, okay? So that comes out to 54 grams of additional fat Jane needs to eat today in order to consume those unused carb calories. So let's say, so 54, remember that number. So if at 1,500 overall calories times 0.3, okay, divided by 9. Okay, so Jane on a regular day of 30% fat gets 50 grams of carbohydrates. So now we just also did the calculation that on a low carb day, she can have an additional 54 grams of fat to eat and use all those leftover carb calories. So that is why we want to be essentially doubling our fat intake on the low carb days. Now, you can play with this a little bit, right? Maybe you're gonna go not double fats, but you're gonna maybe add in a solid, an additional 40 grams of fat because you're gonna increase protein a little bit, right? To take advantage or use those unused carb calories. But that's what I wanted to show you guys is on these low carb days, we don't wanna leave those unused carbs just out there. Under eating. So it's not just about reducing carbs and then hitting your other macros. You've got to fill in the gaps with the fats and proteins. So I'm gonna kind of just jump around on some of these little questions that I wrote down that I kind of felt like I saw people asking and the things that I noticed when I was answering the macros. First thing is, it's 50 grams net carbs, less than 50 grams net carbs. So you guys, that can really be any amount of carbs you want as long as you get the right amount of fiber. Remember, carbs minus fiber equals net carbs to get you there. For example, and I will post in the comments when I'm done, my screenshot from yesterday, I ate 90 grams of carbohydrates yesterday. However, I ate 43 grams of fiber. So 43 minus 90 is 47 net carbs. So I still got there with eating 90 grams of carbohydrates. Okay, so that takes some practice of logging foods and seeing how they work with their fiber and carb content. But I don't want you guys to get hung up on it has to be, I have to eat less than 50 grams of carbohydrates. I want you getting all those vegetables in, and vegetables are a carbohydrate. So those are gonna elevate your carbs, but you're getting all that fiber in, okay? So that was one thing that I kind of noticed is don't be afraid to eat more carbs as long as you're getting that fiber in. So here's another little thing. So this is where with MyFitnessPal, you can do this one of two ways, but with tracking it and logging it. So the first way is several of you guys have that premium account on MyFitnessPal, which I think is $50 a year. It is not necessary if you do not have it. So many of you customized your low carb day, which is fine. But here's the problem with customizing your low carb day is that your carbs and your fats and your proteins those days are kind of subjective, right? So like yesterday, I ate 90 grams of carbohydrates. Today, maybe because I'm not gonna have as much fiber, I'm only gonna eat 65. So you can play with that number. The other thing that I saw was people customized their low carb day. They just adjusted carbs. They didn't increase fat or protein to get them back up to their overall calorie goal. So if you did that, if you customized your low carb day, you need to go back in there and make sure that you increased your fats in order to get all of your overall calories back up to your MyFitnessPal overall calorie goal, all right? And that'll give you a good gauge of where your fats need to be. If you go back into the portal, it'll show you some different ranges of the percents that it can be in order to get there, all right? Again, we're not super concerned with the percents. Those are just used to get you to your grams, okay? The percent markers are used to get you to the appropriate gram amount. So always be watching that nutrient page. Always be watching where your grams are hitting. So the next way that you can go about tracking a low carb day, this is how I do it. I do not customize it. I just simply use my regular MyFitnessPal, nutrient page that has all of my regular MyFitnessPal goals, my 20% protein, my 50% carbs, my 30% fat. And I just watch. I pre-log, I look at my carbs, I minus my fiber. I just watch my carbohydrates and watch where I want to be with my net carbs. And then I keep filling in with fats. Yes, they're going to go into the red. Protein's going to go into the red. That's fine until I hit my overall calorie goal. So again, yesterday, I think I ate 109 grams of fat. I got in 118 grams of protein, and I was 35 calories, no big deal, over my overall calorie goal. Okay, so that's another way that you can log or track those low carb nutrients, is just don't even bother customizing. Sometimes I feel like, again, because it's subjective, your carbs can kind of be whatever you want them to be on as long as you're getting that fiber in. Typically, you have to be pretty good with that fiber to, again, like I did, go 90 and over, but you can make it fluctuate. So that's kind of my tips there. So I just wanted to show you and illustrate to you why we need to be increasing, essentially doubling our fat grams on a low carb day, because we do not want to leave those uneaten carb calories on the table. That is just going to have us for sure under eating for the day. And that is not what we are about. A lot of you guys are going to start realizing within this program that you are eating more than you ever have, and you're going to get results by eating more. I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be able to get results by feeling full and satisfied? So just really think about that, embrace that. Do not be afraid to eat more food. It might feel counterintuitive. It might be totally against what you've been doing, but trust the process and it's going to feel great. One other little thing I wanted to show you. I hope this was helpful and not any more confusing. But I wanted to show you guys these. I found these at Sprouts here in Arizona. I'm sure you can get them off of Amazon. But these are vanilla almond nut butter. I've got the vanilla almond. This is just a straight almond butter. Great, great, great snack for yes, eat more food. Got it. That's exactly right. This is a great low carb day snack. You could literally just open it and eat it. And this one's going to for sure cure a little bit of a sweet tooth. Here's the deal with these. This is why I like them. Every ingredient is pronounceable. It's made with coconut oil. There is no added sugars. And you are looking at 15 grams of additional fat inside this little packet. So a great way to get your fats up. And let's see, it's going to give you 5 grams net carbs. So go check these out. I bet you could probably get them off of Amazon and on your doorstep pretty quickly. So this is a great low carb snack. Literally, you could be driving in your car, give it a little massage, and eat it as you're driving, okay? So again, I hope you guys found this helpful and not any more confusing. Week 1, the more we practice, I've said this before, we are learning by doing. So the more we practice this, the more it's going to come to us. So I really encourage you to get back on the portal, get back into the tab that was called Faster Way, Cycle, and Macros. Now that you've really seen this play out, kind of reread that, and that'll give you, again, some more guidance. Does it not have too much protein? Let's see. Oh, it actually does have 9 grams of protein because it's got an egg white in there. But here's the deal. Plop it in there and track it. Again, on a low carb day, yes, we're trying to stay at our regular macro protein goal, but if you go 10 to 20 grams over protein on a low carb day, that is fine, because that's going to also help us bump up that fat. So that's still a moderate place to be, okay? So that's okay. But 9 grams of protein. So even if you could make this work on a regular day to get a little boost of protein in a snack, great option. Yeah, exactly. Getting in enough fat without protein. So again, 10 to 20 grams over on a low carb day with protein is still keeping it at that moderate rate. You're going to end up being probably 25 to 30% of your calories coming from protein, which is fine for a low carb day, okay? So again, don't get caught up on the percentages, guys. The percentages are there to extract our grams, okay? I hope that makes sense. But the gram goals are where it's at. Don't get super hung up on it. Again, ask questions, and I will be in the group as much as I can answering them. Okay, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing your nutrient tabs tonight. As a reminder, in the daily thread, the post that is labeled week 1, day 2. I am now in the mornings when I get up, I'm going to be pinning those posts as an announcement on our page so they stay at the top of the page. This is just a much better way for me to see everybody's, get to everybody's. It's better for me to not miss any questions, and then it also doesn't clog up our news feed. You have other really great things going on. Share some recipes inside the recipe thread, hashtag them recipes. If you had a bang out low carb day, share with us what you ate, how you bumped up those healthy fats, okay? Happy Tuesday and enjoy. Bye.